Hello, my friends. This is Andy Falco-Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California, or better known as the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District. I am the president of the California Parent Alliance and the host for the California Parent Alliance podcast. Go to californiaparentalliance.org to visit our blog. That's what it's called. And other information we currently have on the website. We are adding more stuff. We're going to have hopefully some more events very soon. We just had one in Westlake Village about a month ago where we presented two fantastic people with the Golden Bear Award, meaning that they have gone out of their way and taken more hits than a normal person should take, and present awards with everything they're doing for our children here in the state of California, in particular in their expertise. Alex Mayer is one of them, who is the founder or co-founder of the California Children's Defense Organization. And then we have Leander Blades, who is the school board member here in Placentia Yorba Linda School District, who was instrumental in banning CRT in our school district. So some of the other names you may know me by is the ignorant douche lord. Apparently, I am the leader of the ignorant douche lords. I'm also the community blowhard. And I actually love all of those names. Blowhard, not as much as ignorant douche lord, which I think is a fabulous handle that I could have. Hey, Dan Peters, nice to see you. Telling me to keep up the good work. One of the two people that apparently watch this podcast, which is interesting. I want to visit a Twitter handle, Orange County Mama Bear, and I think the other one is Stephanie R something or other. Hold on, let me see if I want to make sure and give them full credit for who they are. Oh man, I just reset and now I have to start from the bottom. You ever get those really long streams in some of these platforms that when you go out of it, you have to open it back up? Stephanie R0721. Stephanie R0721. If you want some entertainment, you may want to go to those Twitter handles and just check out the craziness that we are dealing with when it comes to, and I don't know if they're parents actually in the school district. Many of the people that come to the Placentia Yorba Linda School District that speak out for CRT, for masking children, for harming our children with sex education in elementary school, those people are still the ones wearing masks who can look at a box that says this product will not stop a virus. It actually says it on there as a warning. Continue to wear the mask or continue to ignore the reams and pages that you find on the internet of studies that said that masks don't work, and the actions taken by schools and the airlines is not helping anything. It didn't help stop anything. As a matter of fact, there is a study this came out of Switzerland, I believe, where the schools that did have masking and other things in place, which are like plexiglass, social distancing, all that stuff, in those schools, children actually did worse and more children got infected by the virus. So that when you go to these Twitter pages that I just mentioned, Stephanie Zero, whatever her name is, you got to be creative. Come on. Stephanie R0721. That may mean something. I don't know. Or the OC Mama Bear. Actually, it's _bear. OC Mama _bear. If you want to be entertained and see what we're dealing with, go there and check it out, which I will in just a few minutes. But I do want to visit this, the lie. So this is part 2, and I'm sorry if it took a little while to get to part 2. It's because we had a rally across from Disneyland the other day. We had a couple other shows that we were doing here in our studio, where my wife had written an article for the Christian Post in regard to how the Disney Corporation is grooming our children and what you need to be aware of. That article's obviously getting a lot of attention, where she's been invited on Tony Perkins' podcast. Of course, Pastor Jack Hibbs with Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, who went number 8 in the nation in regard to podcasts. So needless to say, we've kind of been a little bit busy kind of handling all the incoming requests for interviews and that kind of stuff. But if you were to listen to the OC Mama Bear and the Stephanie, nobody knows who we are or who I am and doesn't care, which is fine, because we seem to be making a difference anyway, regardless that we don't have anybody watching, or I don't have anybody watching these podcasts. But we'll get back to that a little bit later. So let's get to the lie, the other lie of CRT. Now, we've been fortunate at Placentia Urbana School District to put a ban so far on CRT. I mean, I don't believe that we're done. I believe there's more work to be done. I believe that that's not going to stop. Just because we have a ban on it and a resolution doesn't mean we don't have some lunatic teachers who are going to still try to teach certain aspects of CRT to teach our children that they could be, the 4th gender or the 10th gender, whatever that gender is. I don't even know what half of them mean, but they're going to continue. So this is just one step. At least it gives us something that we can fall back on into why we need to fire maybe a teacher who's doing that, or we need to investigate them, or we need to sanction them, or whatever it is that needs to be done. At least we have something in place. But again, they're going to continue to do it now. We just need to get cameras in the classroom. We need to fire some of the teachers that need firing, and maybe the school district superintendent and some other people. But some of these things need to be done in the meantime. But the biggest lie is that because we have banned CRT, and because you in your school district, wherever that may be in California, wants to ban CRT, it does not mean we're getting rid of education. It does not mean we're not going to treat true U.S. history, where we discuss slavery, where we discuss what happened to the Japanese in the United States, that we don't discuss the killing of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Native Americans here in the North American continent when we came over here, or the Europeans came over, and the Spaniards and even the Africans came over, that we didn't slaughter a bunch of Indians in our path, that we're not going to teach that. That is going to be taught. The problem with CRT is that it stops education. It virtually causes the distraction of trying to insert gender issues, LGBTQ issues, race into everything, math and reading and writing and social studies, in science, that actually harms the educational process, which then requires, which is happening throughout the United States, not just in California, where they begin to lower grading standards and graduation standards, and going so far as to saying math is racist, that you can't teach math because it's too difficult for Black and Hispanics. And so we obviously can't teach math, which is racist, right? They are saying they're racist for wanting to teach math. And yet the fact that they don't want us teaching math, something that requires a good teacher and a process of determining whether the children within each school is actually progressing through understanding math into the different levels of math. You got your basic math, you got your algebra, trigonometry, geometry, you got all these things that go up, that keeping score or to maintaining an average grade, and having separation of A, B, C, D, F, and maybe not even showing up to school, whatever that is, that somehow that doing that is racist, when in fact it is racist to not have those things. It is racist not to teach children how to read, write, count, and how to think. That is really the racist thing that is going on, which it is that they want so badly. They want us to turn over the schools to a complete indoctrination camp, a communist socialist indoctrination camp. That's what they prefer, not the teaching of true education. That is the big lie when it comes to those people that support CRT. That is not about education. It is about ending education and introducing indoctrination. And we've seen it. This has been happening for years. We have been asleep as conservatives as libertarians, as Christians, as name your faith that has morals tied to it. We have all been asleep. We have been ignoring the signs that this has been taking place for tens of decades, and we kind of, some of us maybe thought that it was just now happening. No, this has been happening for a very long time. It is time for us to take back the schools from what has been happening over the years. Nicole says, yes, exactly. Spot on. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that very much. And so where is my proof? And so I simply, oh, shoot, I didn't bring it up. I was so busy looking at the tweets that I didn't bring up. Sorry. Maybe they're right. Maybe, or OC Mama Bear, whatever her name is right. Maybe I am so jacked up that nobody watches because I do stuff like this. So so sorry. Let me, I got to bring it up onto the screen here. Hold on one second. So there we go. All right. I did have it. Thank goodness. So I can bring it up quickly. So I want to bring in some facts that I know Democrats hate. Democrats, left people, whatever you want to call them. They're just called Democrats. I've been talking about this for the last couple of years, that I know that there's some Democrats that say, well, I'm not a lefty, or I'm not a liberal, or whatever. This is all your party. This is all your president, who, if you can call him that, this dude that's in the White House right now, this mindless dude who yesterday could not find his way away from the podium. He got lost in about a 4-foot span and didn't know, and shook the imaginary hand of somebody. That you can separate yourself, Democrats, from any of this. You can't. Just because you think it's uncomfortable, just because they introduce here AB 2223, which allows for the murder of babies up to 30 days old, that somehow that's not your party. It is your party. That is the Democratic leadership in California introducing a bill that allows for the murder of children up to 3 days out of the womb. That's you. That you have changed education so that we're no longer educating children, that we no longer want to educate children, that we rather have an indoctrination camp of these public schools, not an education source for children, so that they can actually get a job when they get out of high school, not necessarily even go to college. Children coming out of high school, once we came out of high school, we knew that we could get a job. We sometimes went on to college. We sometimes went on to universities, but quite often in high school, we were at least educated enough to get a job. We used to have auto shop in school. We used to have woodworking. We used to have metal shops. We used to have cooking classes in every school, not just in certain schools. We actually had accounting skills that were being taught in school. What's happening? We can't even get kids to learn how to count or read or write, much less do create a spreadsheet, a profit and loss report to understand how to change a tire if you get a flat, if you don't have AAA. How do you do that? You still can do that on a car nowadays. But children are coming out. My kids know how to. My kids know how to cook. My kids know how to clean a house. They know how to do wash. And my youngest is 8. My 10-year-old cooked French toast the other day. But how many parents right now are saying, are worried about their kids? I believe if I were to go and their mom were to go, that these kids actually could survive. How many of these kids on the left can actually survive? It doesn't seem like they can survive, because they're afraid of everything. They're afraid of going out for a walk with a mask on. So here's my proof that we definitely are being led by a bunch of racists currently in California. That, hold on, screen share. Sorry, I got lost in my talk and couldn't do 2 things at the same time. Here we go. All right. So as we bring this up, you're gonna lose me for a brief second here. Let me push play. Let me see what happens here. So hopefully you should see the whole screen, I believe. I won't know until I go back, because they changed, or at least I changed my settings here, so I can't see. But this fight has just begun. And so I want to let you know that just because in the Placentia Open School District, or maybe in your school district, you were able to get the banning of CRT approved, or a resolution approved, that's what's not over. Just because maybe your school isn't wearing masks right now, it's not over. Those were 2 of the biggest issues, but that was just a sliver of what needs to be done going further. Continuing to go to the school board meetings, continue to be involved, continue to go into school and look at a curriculum that's being introduced to your school is still a must if you're a parent here in California or anywhere else in the United States, and your kids are worth it. And so poor education negatively affects our world and our future. And what I mean by that is that not only does the world depend on the United States, but our infrastructure, the things that we so-called need on a daily basis, are it is necessary to have American children graduating from our schools that have an education so that we can continue to hopefully manufacture those things that we need, or put those things into effect, or write the code that's necessary on a computer to be done, so that we don't have to import students or former students or graduates from other countries. Because if we don't have, sound manufacturing companies and sound companies here, this will negatively affect the entire world, when the only place they're coming from, and I'm sorry, I'm going to come back to my camera here for a second, when they're only coming from countries like communist China or Russia or India, when all of the education, because their education is so far superior, we're like 25th in the world in education. When we are 25th in the world in education, we must import graduates from these other countries, or else we will not continue to keep up. And very soon, these countries are no longer going to allow their top-rated students, graduates, to leave the country. I mean, it's a communist, socialist country, many of these countries. And why would they want their best of the best to leave and come here? Much like what's happening right here with our open border that the Democrats have created, is that what's coming through the open border is not the smartest. Right? The smartest are coming by plane and are being imported by these companies like Facebook or Google, or even Tesla, I imagine, or even NASA. Is that, you know what, we can't really go to our farm here in the United States because our kids can't read. They can't do math. Whoa, we're going to go to China. We're going to go to India. We're going to go to some of these other countries that are actually graduating educated people, and we need to import them. And so those are being imported probably, and most likely, the proper way, through documentation, green cards, working visas, and all kind of that kind of stuff. The ones coming through the southern border are the criminals. We're importing tens of thousands of criminals a month through our southern border. And that's what we're doing, because we have people that are uneducated who had gone through the indoctrination camps, who are running our country currently. And so that is the problem. So let me come back to my drive, or my slideshow here. And gosh, you know what's so bad is that I cannot see when I make it go live. I should have used Google Drive. But let me see if I can move this over just a little bit. There we go. I just don't. There's a way of getting rid of this, and I cannot slide only. There we go. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. And so let's see what it looks like on the screen. Wish I could get rid of this other side. I know there is a way, but I can't think of what it is. I haven't used Keynote in a long time. Let's see. There is a way. Hold on. Nope. It's one of these boxes. Okay, I'm gonna go full screen. Here we go. Sorry. All right, let me skip this. So the impact of poor education and woke education is poor education. Woke education is poor education. It creates poor leaders, creates woke educators, normalizes crime, lack of morals, encourages mediocrity, allows for the graduation of the uneducated, starves children of life skills, and starves children of coping skills. And these are just some of the things that I've been able to locate as to what impact poor education has on our country as a whole, because so many schools are dealing with this right now. So many schools in school districts in the United States of America, other than a few red states and a couple red counties in some of these states, are actually educating good quality children. I would say the majority currently, based on the research, is putting out bad products. It's like anything else. If you go cheap like China used to be, you're going to put out cheap crap. And so we have cheap education putting out kids that cannot read, all right, and cannot write. How do I know this? Is because our prison systems are a perfect barometer for what is happening. So according to the Department of Justice, academic failure is linked to delinquency, violence, and crime. So what do we see right now? An increase of delinquency, violence, and crime. And so it just goes to tell you that if we have further eroded the education that's being produced by our public schools, it goes to just logic that it also explains the increase of delinquency, violence, and crime currently in our country. More than 70% of American prison inmates cannot read at a fourth grade level. 85% of juvenile offenders have trouble reading. 85% of juvenile offenders. What does that tell you? Is education important? Absolutely. If we only have 85% of juveniles or we have less than that, I'm sorry, 15% of children in our juvenile system, court system or crime system, then that is telling you something. A low literacy rate makes it less likely that an individual will vote or participate in civic activities. Absolutely. A low literacy rate is associated with a lower level of employment opportunities and outcomes. In consequence, they are often dependent on welfare, have low self-esteem, and are more likely to commit crimes. So let me just come to this point right here very quickly, is that in this slide that explains, and these things I took off of FBI research and university research that has been done in regard to education. So that's where these come from. I should have actually posted the source underneath there. I apologize for not doing that. I will make sure in another podcast that I make sure and come back and give you the sources. But normally I would put them down there at the bottom. I didn't do that in this case. But a low literacy rate is associated with a lower level, and this is common sense too, so it doesn't really matter. A low literacy rate is associated with a lower level of employment opportunities and outcomes. What do we have right now? Now, I know that the Democrats will tell you, oh, we have an increased unemployment, or actually lower unemployment. I do that all the time. A lower unemployment rate right now. And it is that thought that is totally ridiculous, that when you don't take into consideration that we just shut down our country for 2 years, and many people lost their jobs, many people were furloughed, many people were fired because they didn't want to come to school or come to work because they were afraid. When you take all those things and you drop down an employment level to nearly just a catastrophic place, that when you open or begin to open the country back up, and many of those people and companies need employees back and they start coming back, what is going to happen? Your employment rate is going to increase because you're bringing back something that you took away. You can't take credit for bringing something back that you took away, right? Which is currently what they're doing. If you were really to look around you and see just here in Yorba Linda alone, the number of businesses that have help wanted signs in their windows, which I have never seen, and I have lived here my entire life, 60 years, I've lived my entire life here, is that I've never seen every business needs people. That what we should have is not the rate that we currently have. It should be way bigger. The unemployment rate should be much lower than it is. And yet they're not taking that into consideration. All these places that need business is because they don't have a desire to work. Our children are being raised to be lazy through the schools, through social media, and there's no need to be employed. They're getting money for the federal government. They're getting money from mom and dad. They're getting money from other sources because they won't survive. They don't know how to survive. And so they can't be employed because they're lazy and they're not willing to work hard. And they're now beginning to tell the business what it is they want for hours. Here in California, they're talking about lowering the 40-hour work week to something like 32 or 34 hours because kids aren't willing to work. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. In consequence, they are often dependent on welfare. Yes, because when they get welfare and it becomes a welfare state, who wants to work when they're getting money for free? You've already taught them to be lazy, and now you're giving them a reason to be lazy because now you're giving them welfare, which now they have low self-esteem. How many kids are telling you, oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I don't feel good about myself. Oh, I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too ugly. I got low self-esteem. It's because that's what we've created, and they're more likely to commit crimes, which again, when we look at the crime statistics that are occurring in mostly blue states, It's exactly what we're getting by having a poor education system, which is, again, this isn't brain surgery. It really, it really is not brain surgery. So I'm not sure why they don't see this. And I finally, as we were talking, I was able to fix the setup here. So here, we'll just leave it like this. And so the next slide is, hold on. Oh, shoot. I guess I didn't fix it because now I have to go to this view and then bring up this slide. There we go. An estimated $1 billion is lost to the global economy every year due to illiteracy. An estimated $1 billion is lost to the global economy. So just remember what I was talking about at the very beginning, that this just isn't a California issue. This is not a United States issue. This is a global issue. When the United States and other countries, but really when the United States has poor education outcomes, in other words, we stop educating, we're more concerned about indoctrination. When we lower grade standards, when we lower graduation standards by saying, well, you know what, you no longer need to attend school and you no longer need to get A's or B's or C's to graduate. When you do that, you put out a lesser product when it comes to our children. And it affects, because quite often in the past, we've sent American graduates from high school and universities globally to do work for other countries, to become leaders in our military, to become leaders at NASA, to become leaders in science, right? We obviously don't have leaders in science because you cannot trust the CDC as far as you could throw them. You can't trust the the other company, the health and whatever that one is. Somebody put it, Nicole or Dan, if you're still watching, the HV, what's the other one? Health and something. Either one of any one of those. We can't trust anybody right now that's in charge. The FDA, you can't charge anybody that's in charge of our health and services in the government because we have nobody that's educated that cares about the United States of America. You have a bunch of nincompoops. Tony Fauci is political. He's not a doctor. He's no longer a doctor. He doesn't know what he's talking. Well, he probably knows what he's talking about, but he knows what he's talking about is a lie, and he doesn't mind telling you a lie, and he doesn't mind being caught in a lie. And these are the people that we have put through our education system, put through the university, and now we are having to deal with the consequences of lack of proper education and deal with nothing except for indoctrination. So that's my excitement for today, is that we want to understand that the focus of Democrats to destroy our educational system, which is, again, had been going on for decades. If you haven't had a chance to go to Fox Nation yet and look at The Miseducation, which is a documentary by Hexef, who put together this documentary with the Fox crew. And I think it's an 8-part series, if I'm not mistaken, of the miseducation of children. You'll see how far back this idea that the Democrats or liberals or lefties had in beginning to indoctrinate our children. It's not that much different than what Apple did when it is they wanted to indoctrinate children to like apples. That they really were strong in getting Apple computers into the school system. And then they knew as they grew up and they indoctrinated them into understanding how to operate an Apple computer, that now they would become Apple customers, which was a brilliant marketing tool that nobody saw coming 30 years ago, or however long it was that Apple began to do this program, that now all of our kids use Apples, all of them, every single one of the kids. And so, that's also because of me, because I did like the Apple. I just don't like their politics. But that's the exact same thing in regard to indoctrination of these poor ideas like CRT, multiple genders, and all the other things that are taking away from actual education, that they began doing that a long time ago. All right. One thing I want to share with you is, like I was telling you, is the Twitter feeds of these amazing people that seem to love me, which is kind of interesting. They're obsessed with talking about me, apparently, but yet they say nobody follows me. So why would you be so obsessed with me if I have no reach or have no no followers, according to them? This is a tweet, and I'm sorry you can't see. I'm just going to try to make it bigger. I thought I could, but I can't make it that much bigger. But anyway, here's a letter that, as president of the California Parent Alliance, that talked about Disney deemed harmful to children. But over here on the right, which is probably better if I show you this way. Oh my gosh, is they say, well, how amazing is that he's no longer going to be using going to Disneyland. It's going to make room for them, which is great. Let's put all the lefties at Disneyland. That's fine with me. And then you got the liberated Libra mom, whatever that is. I wandered onto his page. No one is liking or commenting on his post. He doesn't seem too popular. Well, that's good. I'm not popular with the lefties. That is a plus. I look at that as a positive. And it says, then you got OOC Mama Bear, who says he's popular among a crowd of maybe 10 people, all of the usual suspects. So you might, those of you that are watching right now, are obviously one of the 10 people that I attract, which is, I'm sorry that I put you. And then somebody said, she knew me from, I don't know what TK is years ago, but said I was busy trying to pick up on a bunch of moms waiting for their kids, which is really interesting, as as far as I know, I never met anybody at wherever TK was. And so I'm not sure what that's all about. I remember the only time somebody talked to me was when I had my police jacket on. And I also, at the same time, had a CBD hat on. So I'm very big on CBD. I think it's great for people that have anxiety and depression, those kinds of things, that PTSD from, actually doing work. Some people actually go out and do work and, combat and protect people and become police officers and actually put themselves out there. And so because I did that, I got a little PTSD. That I only suffered from for a very short time, and I told nobody about. I didn't go on any. I'm suffering from anxiety. I didn't go on. I talk about it now and say, "Wow, that was a really crazy time." But at the time, I did not tell a bunch of people about it. But I remember I was wearing something that said police on it, and then I had CBD. And then one of the moms that was there came up to me and says, "Okay, I got to ask you, why are you wearing a police thing but yet have CBD that has a hemp plant on it, which looks like a marijuana leaf on it?" And so it started a whole discussion on how I wasn't, pushing THC, that I was, making a point that CBD is actually very positive. And let's see what else is on here. Can they pick I don't know what that is. They wanted to ban people. They want to ban conservatives from the park. We can get an Own the Libs day at Disneyland. So leftists want their own day at Disneyland. And they were laughing at the giggling at my signature on the letter, that I used a calligraphy font for my signature, that I must be, what OS is he working on? Windows 7. There are 7 million fonts, and this hack picks calligraphy. I don't know if that has to do with anything. I picked calligraphy. It wasn't calligraphy. It was it calligraphy? It might have been. It was one that looked like a signature, because I didn't want to go through all the work of actually, creating a signature. I know there's probably easier ways to do it. I don't know. I'm 60 years old. Who knows? What else is on here? There are some other funny ones on here. But this guy cannot be on the school board. WTF is wrong with these people. So they thought I was on the school board. So these are these people that are fighting for the kids, supposedly, and this is how I know they're not really parents in our school district, is because they believe I'm on the school board. I'm not on the school board. I'm a parent. Somebody had to tell Stephanie, "Oh, he's not on the school board, but he's a parent in the district. He thinks he's popular, but far from it." But apparently a number of these people thought I was on the school board. This lady by the name of Misty Jansen, I understand that she's just really upset that Leandra Blades beat her in the last election. And so she's kind of like, she's like the Hillary Clinton of our school district. Apparently she cannot understand why she wasn't elected, and Leandra Blades was. So you got this Misty Jansen who's running around. She's the school teacher, I think, in Yorba Linda High School. I don't know. All right. So I don't know her either. I know she's not on the school board, though. I know she's, a little bit of a Looney Tunes and loves to talk about me, apparently. So I'm happy that at least I'm popular with the liberals, so they can understand what the truth is. They want to ignore the truth, but I'm going to continue, because apparently they're all watching right now. Not you guys that are watching right now, but they watch secretly. And so I'll watch afterwards, watch the replay when I can't see who's watching. And at some point, maybe they'll become educated enough to know what they're backing is a big lie and harmful to kids. And they don't have a problem doing that. They don't have a problem harming kids. They hate our kids. But we're going to continue to fight for our kids. All right. So that's it for this episode of the California Parent Alliance podcast. And have a great Easter weekend. We love you guys that watch and support us. And even though there's only 2 of you, but I do really appreciate the 2 of you that watch on a regular basis. And I will see you out there at Tilly's or some of the other places I run into you guys. And thank you for watching and stopping by. And let me know that you watch and that you appreciate the information that comes out of the podcast. All right, my friends, we love you guys. God bless. Have a great, great weekend. Take care. Bye.